Please welcome Angel Hack founder and CEO Sabine Ali and Senior Creative Workshop Manager at Autodesk's Pier 9 Technology Center, J.D. Sassaman.
Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. JD, I thought I would start with you because we had such a lively conversation about the work that you're doing with Autodesk, remaking the collaborative prototyping space. It's related to so many things, and you are removing so many barriers for people. I thought you could give us the sort of the 101 on what it is and how it works and why it's different.
Sure. I think one of the places we go to really quickly for stories around innovation is the solo inventor who steps out with the magical item. And what we're really working on at the Pier 9 site is how to recognize that community and collaboration and empowerment are the things that come together that lead to the most impactful kind of innovation and the most relevant. We had an engineer from the U.S. Marines who was a resident there working on a deployable drone for the field that could be 3D printed, taken apart, and put in a backpack to go out and find folks who needed medical care in the field without risking folks' lives.
Wow.
That person was in conversation with a costume designer from the film industry, and she helped solve the problem of how to connect the wings to the fuselage with an electrical connector that would solve how to pack that up and put it together. It's the kind of conversation that happens in spaces where it's about community and collaboration. Those folks are talking to each other, and that's what we're really driving at in the Pier 9 space.
So how big is it? How many people are typically working there at the same time, and how do they collide?
How do they collide? All over the place. In the office space, in the shops, we have a wood shop, metal shop, robot arms, CNC and digital fabrication. We have over 1,000 people with access to the space. So any given day, I'd say we have between 10 and 50 folks coming in, using machines, learning how to operate machines, and moving their research or their prototyping forward.
All right, that's very cool. Sabine, I want to get you into the mix here because one of the things that's really an interesting theme in this moment of time is that doors are opening for other people, and particularly in tech, in your work at Angel Hack, people who are not from central casting. And we're seeing some movement, maybe not in some of the bigger diversity statistic numbers, but we're seeing some movement in the world. I thought you could talk a little bit about what you do and what you're seeing that's working.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we do at Angel Hack is we go around the world and we organize hackathons. And a hackathon is really a community space, like you had mentioned, where anyone that is a developer, a designer, anyone who has an app idea or an idea for any type of technology can come and join our event. And then they team up with other, designers, other developers, and we never really know what the magic formula is. It's always, a group of misfits that get together and they create something that's absolutely amazing. And what we've noticed over the past couple of years, and through a lot of our own efforts, is that our female attendance rate is rapidly increasing. And so now we are at 20% for our global attendees, are girls and women, and age ranging from 17 to 54, which we're really proud of. That's a wide range, age range, and we want to make sure that we're encouraging more women to come out. And this is really, the grassroots effort of giving women an opportunity to come to the table, talk, contribute their skills and their ideas at the very starting stages of emerging technology.
But you're encouraging women and girls all over the world. You're going to some very interesting places. Could you just give us a little snapshot of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're organizing events in 92 different cities all over the world. We have a global competition that's coming up in April, and over the span of 12 weeks, we'll be organizing 50 hackathons. And then we pick one winning team from each one of these hackathons to put in our virtual accelerator. And then after that virtual accelerator, we actually fly those teams into Silicon Valley. And what we're noticing is that 44% of the companies that we accelerate and we fly over and bring to Silicon Valley from places like Bogota, from Bangkok, from Saudi Arabia, from Gaza, Palestine, Kabul, and Quebec and Montreal and San Diego. 44% of these startups have female executives.
Wow.
So really, we're seeing a massive change with our efforts, and then our company works with wonderful partners that support the system. They sponsor our events. They donate technology and credits. They come in and mentor all of our attendees, and this is really our ecosystem and how we're supporting the community and making it much more diverse.
So I want to talk a little bit about the community aspect of what you're both doing, and because it's fascinating to me, the dream of bringing people who are very different from each other and giving them some basic coaching and tools and just having magic happen is not how it ever actually works. So maybe together we could sort of pull out some best practices of what helps make people feel safe, how you can remove barriers, and how organizations can become more courageous at trying this themselves, because checking the box is definitely not working.
Yeah.
I'd say for our workshop, it's been a series of really conscious decisions and moves. Typical shop culture comes with a lot of macho attitude.
Right.
Yeah, so we've really paid attention to that and looked at how can we, as the people running that space, set the example and the tone for that culture to really be a learning space, and to be asking questions and be curious. So constantly not engaging with how can I impress you with how I've done that before,
right.
But how are you doing that? Why are you doing that? I've done something related. Let's talk.
Right.
And encouraging folks constantly. Some of the things we do with the shop staff team to get there are literally physical practices.
Okay.
When we have our shop meetings, when we do our shop clean events, we get in a circle and we do a centering exercise to get present. Like take a couple deep breaths. It's a little woo-woo. It's a little California, and it's uncomfortable.
I just played a gospel video. You're
Thank
fine.
you.
This is a safe space.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how many shop, greasy mechanics you've met who are willing to stand there and do a breathing exercise with you, but it changes the tone in the room.
Yeah.
And asking people to be present and tell you, go and do a mood check. How are you coming in today? Tired, frustrated, you had a call from your mom, I don't know.
Right.
To be present and to be real about where you are and to set a very different tone every day about how we interact with people in the space. The impacts are real. Those are small dials to turn, but it changes what it means when you step up to a CNC machine with someone who's a brand new user and you say, like, what do you want to do on this machine? Not, I'm going to show you how this works. And those little moves end up having bigger and bigger consequences on the culture and the space and how that moves forward and opens the door for folks to collaborate and have conversation.
Yeah.
That's what I've found.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. You have to be very deliberate about your culture. We're in 92 different cities all over the world, and there are different cultures in each one of these cities. Some of the cultures are very supportive of women in technology, and others, not so much. And so what we have to do is be very deliberate in our language, in our marketing. We really have to talk the talk and walk the walk as well. A few years ago, when we didn't have the statistics and demographics like we do now, we would do workshops. We had a whole theme for an entire year called the Whole Developer, where we were teaching developers that there's more skills of value than their technical skills. And we're teaching them mindfulness and breathing exercises. We brought yoga instructors to each one of our hackathons to create a much more type of environment where people are okay with being themselves and learning. And then we were also incredibly deliberate in the past year where we organized a hackathon series called Lady Problems.
That sounds really fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, and you guys can imagine we got our fair share of feedback, both internal and external. We wanted to organize a hackathon series aimed at female entrepreneurship. And this was because we realized that we had a lot of corporate partners that are very supportive of the cause. And, our team is predominantly female. And we really wanted to.
Like predominantly female, like 75%, right?
Right, yeah.
That would be predominantly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so we wanted to do something to obviously support the cause. And the team came up with different ideas of, well, we can do a hackathon series called this and that, and et cetera, et cetera. And, someone just blurted out lady problems as a joke. And I said, yes, that. And my director of PR just looked at me and she's like, oh my God, she's serious. And I was serious. And I was like, if we're going to talk about an issue, we're going to talk about an issue. And we're going to find out, what people think. And we need to be prepared. And before we do this, we'll do our research and we'll make sure that we have really good rationale and a really good social media plan. And what's really interesting is that we actually ended up educating a lot of our corporate partners. So we had some partners that we went and pitched to, and we said, hey, you said that you wanted to do a hackathon to empower female entrepreneurs. Well, here's our concept, and here's what we're calling it, Lady Problems. And they said, absolutely not. And they said, it's talking about the female menstrual cycle, and that's disgusting.
He's fighting words, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they absolutely are. Or educating words,
Right.
to be very honest with you. We knew what we were getting into. And so this was our opportunity to talk to our corporate partners and say, hey, by the way, every woman goes through this, and you might think it's disgusting, but some of us are dealing with it right now. And you just have to educate your audience and let them know that their perspective was, well, we're protecting your brand and we're protecting our brand.
Right.
And
right.
our perspective was, well, we're creating a brand new brand, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what no one talks about. We're going to talk about all of the taboo topics,
Right.
and we're going to do it in a sophisticated manner and make sure that everybody feels safe and comfortable, but it needs to be done.
Right.
And eventually we did get our corporate partners around, and we got HP to be a big sponsor,
Wow.
Procter & Gamble, and they also sponsored products as well. And yeah.
Nice synergy there.
Yeah. So it worked out really, really nicely. But, in conclusion, it's really just be deliberate. If you're going to work on this issue, then work on the issue.
So I want to talk, I raised the issue of innovation again, and before we get into our optimism phase, and I'll throw to the audience for any questions. The buzzword is innovation, and everybody wants to be an innovator. Everyone wants to move quickly and break things, and we can argue that they have broken quite a few things. But the argument is that the innovations that get funded are not always the innovations that we need, and the world is a very interesting, rich, and an interesting marketplace. How do you think about that, and how do you think about persuading powerful people to invest in innovation that actually will have an impact, and in any order that you would like? Or we could just be mindful together.
Well, maybe I can speak on the end before, what happens before the investment stage and the prototyping, the ideation, the iteration, that zone. What I can say is that same culture of community and of collaboration and of opening up the doors to the conversation is also the place where I think innovation becomes the most relevant. When you have diversity of thought and you have more voices in the room, what you get are deeper questions about why. And I see that happening in a really organic way for us on the shop floor. Because it isn't always who's going to speak up in the meeting and say the thing. It's often who's going to share their ideas with you in a one-on-one, in a different setting. Because who gets to talk in the room is loaded. And I think making the space for those conversations to happen is a part of this. And so on the innovation and prototyping and developing the idea, making room for that diversity of thought, diversity of background, for the U.S. Marines and the costume designer to interact and actually hear each other, I think is where that happens, I see on the prototyping end. And then the questions become more relevant. Not is this super impressive and is this wild and crazy, and but why? Why are you going to make it? Why are you going to use that chunk of aluminum to do that? So I see it on that end before it becomes the thing that gets invested in.
And that's actually the mission and the entire premise of Angel Hack, is to create a bridge between Silicon Valley and the rest of the world, so a diverse group of entrepreneurs have a chance to succeed. And the global competition that we host, we do pick a winner, and those startups that come over from all of our events do get seed investment, et cetera. And year over year, what I've noticed is that it's always a team from abroad. We have yet to have a winner that comes from Silicon Valley. And so we realize that Silicon Valley is creating innovation for the bubble, in the bubble, whereas the rest of the world is innovating for the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're playing a big part in making sure that we're educating investors and other accelerators and doing the work and doing the sourcing for them and bringing them right here for them.
So anybody like to join us with a question or a comment or an opportunity to talk your way into the Pier 9, which is what I'm dying to do, even though I don't have a single qualification that should get me in. I'm going to keep scanning. Yes, hi.
So many of our large clients are trying to do innovation within the company. Many of our large companies are trying to do innovation within their companies, even doing their own startups. I'm not talking about investing, but really trying to be innovators. So do you have any recommendations, sort of, taking what you're doing, your top recommendations for the people in this audience and around the world to either serve or work at large companies?
The first thoughts I have on that are around being deliberate about what kind of processes are you going to support. So how is the innovation going to happen? Not what object do you want to walk out the door to show you've successfully innovated, but how. And how are you going to bring in those intersectional industries? I mean, I think we all see the collapse of multiple industries. We see the collapse between architecture and manufacturing. We're seeing the collapse between digital and physical, fabrication, all of these things. How do you make sure the doors are open? And one of the things I would say is, for my team, what I also look carefully at is not what's on the resume for the people who support and facilitate that space, but what's not on the resume. And for my most technical shop, the CNC shop that has the most industrial equipment, the lead in that shop, she has an MFA in sculpture. And that same, mentality that was about interrogating material and process and attention to detail, she can take that from her sculpture background, apply it to CNC technology, and now she's a fantastic lead, and she facilitates that culture in a different way. So I think especially when we're interviewing and looking at how to build those teams in those spaces, not to look at, did this person get the title at their last employment that's on their resume, but can they demonstrate those leadership skills? And can you ask them to show you? Is it in their family, in their friend group, socially, somewhere that they haven't included already, that you can see those skills from them? So I think approaching the creation of those spaces deliberately and with a wider lens helps us get there.
Yeah, really quickly, I'll just add on that the topic of entrepreneurship has actually widely grown quite a bit, and people are starting to really focus on the skills that they need in order to be more innovative within their companies or within their lives. And what we used to call soft skills are now suddenly becoming popular again. And I would say that organizations that are looking to innovate from within need to start focusing on some of those soft skills again and start valuing them. And there's a ton of exercises that you can do every day, like focusing and centering, to make sure that everyone's bringing their best and that you're creating an environment where people do feel comfortable taking risks.
Great. Thank you.
I want to end, because we're almost out of time, on the same question that I asked the audience: is how optimistic are you about the future? Maybe we could put the poll results up and we can compare. Since it's close to Friday, I'm feeling pretty optimistic.
Yeah, I'm actually incredibly optimistic. I've had the great fortune to be able to travel around the world and again, be at the grassroots efforts of innovation and brainstorming for what is going to be, emerging technology. And I'm seeing a lot of exciting things, but what's even more exciting are the people that are in the room creating technology, the dialogues that are being had, and the culture that's being created. It's no longer a boys club. It's no longer in an R&D room with tenured employees. It's happening at hackathons with men, women, girls, and boys. And there are corporations that are supporting it. So I'm incredibly optimistic.
JD? Last word.
Optimism, hour by hour, depending on what's happening.
Yeah.
Front page of the
Believe
New
me,
York
I know.
Times. I think I definitely see projects and things that are taking root that that give me a lot of faith. I just went to the Lesbians Who Tech conference last week. They've set quotas for who's going to be represented both in the audience and on stage, which means that I saw at that conference more LGBTQ folks, more women, more Latina, more Black, more everybody in that space than I've seen in any other tech space. It's an incredible conference. That gives me hope.
And you've got a new alliance.
Yeah, and
Please plug it in their second.
yeah, I'll plug it. I'm working with a colleague to launch something we're calling the Workbench Alliance. And that is a professional organization to support women at the intersection of craft, technology, and design. And by women, we're inclusive of gender non-binary, gender non-conforming, trans. You're all invited. So we're looking at ways to create that community in a broader sense, both physically and online, to keep bringing each other into the conversation, into the careers, into the promotions, and keep building our way there.
Good luck. Good luck to both of you. Keep us informed of how you're doing, and thank you so much. And thank you all.
Thank you.